All right, everybody, we are back here for part 3 of our dental assisting program and creating models that we can print on their new 3D printer. So this video is going to be specifically focusing on taking that last model we made, transferring it to the 3D print model ready file to then use on our 3D printer. So first video we went over with some of our dental assisting students on how to actually scan the teeth and create the file. The second video was all about taking that scan and creating an STL file, which now we are going to, in this video, upload that STL file, do a little work with that model to get it 3D print ready, export that file, and get it ready for that printing process. So I am now going to step out of frame and we are going to zoom over to our computer where we are now going to get this file ready. So I am first going to open up this frozen slicer. So it's that little blue one. We are no longer in that 3Shape Unite. We are just in that frozen slicer. We can hit OK. So that frozen slicing software comes from the printer. So this is the Sonic XL 4K Plus printer. This is new to our program and something that we are very excited to use to start replicating our teeth. So we just said that this is the Sonic XL 4K Plus printer, which is what we want to have selected. We are using the frozen dental and the dental study model. So make sure all those options are chosen and then we can hit OK. Now, the first part of this process is to put in that file that we just created. So I'm going to File, Open. Now, last time I talked about the importance of naming things and having good naming techniques so we know where to find our files. So last time I said Rabbidoo Testing 616. So I'm going to select that file. If you aren't sure where you saved it, you can also just go to your downloads, to your desktop, wherever you think you put that file. Could be in the OneDrive or just this PC. I know I saved most of these files, as I mentioned, onto the desktop so we know where they are. I'm going to hit that file and then I'm going to hit Open. And there are our school bells. So sometimes it takes a second to get that model in here, but now we can see that our dental model is uploaded. So up here in this bar up top, there are a few different options. You can zoom out, you can zoom in. But the first thing I want to focus on is understanding how to use this. So this is kind of like your view cube. We can see it from different angles. You can go to the left side, the front, the back, the right side, tops and bottoms. I like to hit that home button. That is sort of like that isometric view coming from the top. So we can kind of see here that this model is standing upwards. Now I'm going to pause for a second and kind of go back and forth with our printer. This rectangle right here is what we call our build plate. So that is the thing our model is going to build on. So if I zoom all the way over to our printer, our build plate is up top. So our typical 3D models come on the bottom, but with this, since it is a resin printer, we print onto the top surface. Now, why is that important? Well, with your teeth, in the end, we are looking to get a set of teeth. We want our teeth attached to the top like this. We don't want our teeth coming in down. We don't want our teeth coming upwards like this. We need a nice solid base for the teeth to attach to the printer. So if we look at what we have so far, something doesn't look a little right, which is what we're going to have a little work to do. But it's not too difficult. So the first part is we do realize we need to drag this down. So all we need to do is rotate the model. Now, there is a rotate command, and we can zoom in and out a little bit. There is a rotate command over here on the left. So on the left side, we have a bunch of commands. We can move the model, we can change the size, we can turn or move that model. But I'm actually gonna go down a little bit further and I'm gonna hit build base. Essentially, building base is going to cut out and fill in where we need to. So I'm gonna hit build base. Now, when we do that, notice how the first command is rotate the model. That's why I skipped over it up here, is because in the build base command, the rotating is already built in, so we don't have to go to multiple different features. So we'll notice that a bunch of these different lines pop up, the green, the blue, the red. And we notice down here on the left-hand side, we also have X, Y, and Z. It's just like our coordinate graph. So we think about geometry, we have your X and your Y planes, which is the flat part, which is your build base. And then the Z plane is going up and down. So that adds that three-dimensional aspect. X, Y, Z, 3 dimensions. So the first things first is I want to make sure that model is nice and flat. So I have to figure out which one it is that is going to allow me to rotate that model. We can get it from a different view if you need to. I do like to keep that house view, right, that home view. So now I can just rotate it this way. And we just want to go until that box is sort of minimized or until you think it's pretty flat. All right, and it doesn't have to be 100%. We're gonna trim around some things and we're gonna fill in some of those gaps so that it does come in flat. Then I'm gonna hit next. So right now that locks in the rotation aspect. Now we have to cut around some different pieces. So this is the edit feature line, the beveling. So this is sort of just taking out some of that unnecessary features. So I like to go start at the top view, and you notice there is a lot of extra stuff going around the edges, right? That's just if you overscan some of the parts, right? You get a little bit extra in the gums. All right, we need to cut that out. So this is a lot easier with a mouse. You can also just do it with the keyboard in two hands. So I'm going to just trim around, and it's basically just like a little pen. So you're basically gonna cut out the things you don't want. Now it's not gonna cut them out immediately, but you'll notice that the blue line is now closer in. And we're just gonna do that everywhere that you need to take out some of this part. So we're gonna keep on going. That big one, I definitely want out of there. And we're gonna go around the outside of the teeth. And you'll just go until you're comfortable. Now, you can go ahead and do that on some of the other sides as well. So I can sort of cut here and cut down and around, right? And make sure that we don't cut anything out that we do need. And that looks pretty good to me. So the next part is I'm just gonna hit next, and it's going to take care of some of that stuff for us, and it's going to get rid of it. This process might take a little bit, and it looks like I did a little bit extra. So I'm gonna hit back, and we are going to undo some of that beveling. Notice how that blue line in here, so I'm gonna hit back again, and I'm gonna hit next. So I'm just going to restart that bevel. So I'm just going to cut around and keep it simple. So if you cut out too much, right, then you're gonna lose some aspects of the teeth. All you have to do is go back twice, get back to the rotation, and then we're gonna go back forward, back to the beveling, and we're just going to cut out what we really need. We don't need to get too crazy, because as you saw, it messes up some of the model. So I'm just gonna go there and just take out those pieces. And now if I hit next, we should be good as I kept it nice and simple. But you'll notice if I do look off to the side, the top looks good, right? I have all my teeth. Now if I look off to the side, there is a lot of extra material that is in here, which we don't want to have. So this is where we can come over here and modify the height. I'm just gonna drop it down all the way to 1 inch. And you'll notice, right, that is still a little bit of an extra material, right? We do need it back here to sort of fill in, right? As you can see from the different sides, it fills in those underneaths, but we do not need all of that up front. So I'm going to continue to decrease this until I use as little material as possible. So I can just keep going down, and 0.1 is good. I want a little bit more in the front. So there we go. That looks pretty good to me. And then we're gonna hit OK. So that build base command essentially fills in everything, allows you to rotate the model, and allows you to cut out some of that extra product that you don't need. Now we are at the point where this is ready to print in 3D model. So notice how it is now nice and flat on that build plate. We have everything filled in, so this will attach really nice to the plate on the actual 3D printer. And at this point, this is where we can hit single paraslice. So this button down here in the bottom right allows us to actually get this file here ready for the 3D printer. So I'm gonna hit single paraslice. This step takes just a quick second. And then again, this is going to pop up, right? You can still zoom around and still see your item, but now we're gonna hit save. And same thing as always, right? We're going to find where we want to place this. I'm going to say we can just keep everything on the desktop. We're gonna select that folder and then make sure you have a good naming, right? Understanding the file names is really important. So make sure that you keep the file names important. And when you download this, it'll save it into a different file type. So I'm now going to hit save, and that'll save it to my desktop. It does take a second for that to get going. And you'll notice it says exporting a PRZ file. So the first file we had was STL. Now we're gonna have a PRZ file, which the PRZ is what we're going to use on that 3D printer. This one does take a little bit longer, so we just have to wait a quick second longer. And now you can either hit open the folder, or if you minimize your screen, since we saved it to the desktop, we have that file in here. So now I have that Rabido testing, the lower jaw, and we will notice that, and if I bring you in closer, that it does say .prz. Let's get that centered. That's important to know. So the next file we need is that PRZ file. And we need to bring that file over into our USB drive. So the next step is to open up. So if you here, you come down and just double and hit File Explorer and hit open. We need to come down here. We're gonna open this up a little bit. And we're gonna come over to where it says 3D model, which is the name of the USB drive. They might have different names, but for now, this is where we are gonna go. We already have some files in here, some old files, but the next order of business is to drag and drop just the file, not the folder. We're gonna drag that file. It's going to copy it over here, and notice how it's my new Rabido testing file from 616. And now we are all set to go. The last part is to take out that USB drive, and now we know, since that went away, that file is now on the USB drive, and then we can go over to the 3D printer and get it ready. All of that is going to be in our next video.